Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. We are live every Sunday at 3 p.m. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go. In today's world, video is the most effective content. In 2021 alone, 80% of all content consumed by users was video. If today you don't make video about yourself, about your product, you're losing positions in your business. Afrique Today production, a video of any complex. Are you in a spot and want to create a family story? Then our team will be able to create a video for you with unique quality, reported shooting, individual shooting, studio shooting, entertainment videos, corporate events. All this we can do for you in the best quality. 612-0496. 571.
A moment and a movement. Revolution isn't frozen in time. It's a thawing river that starts as a stream and grows to a roar. It is the fulfillment of a dream dreamt by people who see the summit after yet another peak that turns into a false promise. 1 in 3 eligible voters this election will be under 35 years old. Welcome to a movement in history, a newborn page. We were born into a society that defines safety as a complacent whisper, but now nobody has more at stake than we do. Looking up to those who came before us, inheriting all their impossibles, all the...
Start our show with a little history. So we're going to be talking. Does everyone know about the Voting Rights Act's history? And if we don't tell our story, someone else will tell it. But let me tell you a little about history. Watch this clip in here.
In this scene from the 2012 movie, Abraham Lincoln spells out the terms of Reconstruction.
All they heard was the first time any president has ever made mention of Negro voting.
In 1865, he said freed slaves who were intelligent or had served as soldiers should be allowed to vote. The 14th Amendment passed in 1860. But for much of the 20th century, voting remained a contentious issue. The 19th Amendment, ratified in 1920, gave women the right to vote, but the racial intimidation of African American voters. In the South, there were even whites-only primaries. This is Sam Tannenhouse of the New York Times. The first modern in 1957. It created a federal commission authorized to enforce voting rights. Senator Strom Thurmond conducted the longest filibuster in history, more than 24 hours to keep blacks from the polls, and legal enforcement was hampered by all-white juries. Jr. led the march from Selma to Montgomery for better voting laws. And less than 5 months later, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It barred states and districts from curtailing the vote on the basis of race, color, or language.
It is wrong, deadly wrong, to deny any of your fellow Americans the right to vote in this country.
Sections 4 and 5 of the bill included special provisions to ensure fair voting practices in a number of states, most of them in the South. Voting rights advocates say some citizens there continue to be enfranchised, but the Supreme Court's close ruling on Tuesday, striking down Section 4, suggests that conditions have changed since 1965, and it is left to Congress to reconsider the act.
Well, we see with the voting rights, and if we think about what's happening today, what we fought so hard for, so many years as being pulled back, and unfortunately, history of us not being able to vote is repeating itself. Barriers to voting are being put up around, and here in the United States, redistricting and things are going over so that we be able to have that opportunity. So I ask everyone today to learn about the history of voting rights. And here we are going backwards in time because we have not told our stories and the fights that we have gone through to have this opportunity to vote. So I urge everyone to learn about it. Please, let's not let history repeat itself. But we have someone here today who's going to talk about what you can do, what are some of the changes and what you need to do to get registered to vote. So I am really excited. But without further ado, let me show you a real quick video about why it's important to vote. Not only the history, but young people coming out in groves, really to vote. We want another Obama time. So many people that came out to vote. So many people registered for the first time. And unfortunately, a lot of those people haven't voted again. Think about coming out, voting, making your voices heard. And a lot of people say, my vote doesn't matter. But let me tell you, your vote does matter. Every vote is counted, especially locally. So your local votes mean everything to every one of those individuals who are running for office. So I do urge you to please, if you haven't registered, please register. If you're registered and you haven't voted, vote. And remember, we're going to talk about the days of election because there's 2 elections. And we want people to remember that. There's 2, primary and your general. So just around the corner in June, we have our primary elections, which are the most important elections coming up. So remember, do not waste an opportunity to vote. I want to show you a quick video about young people voting. I hope we have the video about the young people voting and just a quick video on getting out to vote. Then we're going to bring to you our wonderful guest speaker today, who I'm so excited to have, a very good friend of mine, who also is going to tell you about what you can do and how to do it. So before we bring our guest speaker on, we have one more video I'd like to share with you.
Every generation needs a new revolution. There's a difference between a moment and a movement. Revolution isn't frozen in time. It's a thawing river that starts as a stream and grows to a roar. It is the fulfillment of a dream dreamt by people who see the summit after yet another peak that turns into a false promise. 1 in 3 eligible voters this election will be under 5 years old. Welcome to a movement in history, a newborn page, created by unity, and the hands, voices that write and speak it into existence as a complacent whisper. Forth with why not? They say sentiment without action is the ruin of the soul. This is why we vote. This election isn't about one candidate or another. It's about our past, our present, and our future. We vote, putting her breath on the smog we create, trying to keep the lights on. When we defend the air, we defend the rights of everyone who breathes it. Because education shouldn't come with add up to respect. Because we know that protest can coexist with process. Our challenges are real, but so are our solutions. When we put our truths into motion, like heavy packed powder in a cannon, all that's left is the spark. And together, we can light up the sky.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. We are live every Sunday at 3 p.m. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
In today's world, video is the most effective content. In 2021 alone, 80% of all content consumed by users was video. If today you don't make video about yourself, about your product, you're losing positions in your business. Afrique Today Production invites you to create a video of any complexity. Are you an aspiring blogger, artist, musician, and you want to surprise your audience? Or are you an ordinary person and want to create a family story? Then our team will be able to create a video for you with unique quality, reported shooting, individual shooting, studio shooting, entertainment videos, corporate events. All this we can do for you in the best quality. Just call now and get a 30% discount at 571-612-0496. 571-612-0496. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
Every generation needs a new revolution. There's a difference between a moment and a movement. Revolution isn't frozen in time. It's a thawing river that starts as a stream and grows to a roar. It is the fulfillment of a dream dreamt by people who see the summit after yet another peak that turns into a false promise. 1 in 3 eligible voters this election will be under 35 years old. Welcome to a movement in history, a newborn page, created by unity, and the hands, voices that write and speak it into existence. We were born into a society that defines safety as a complacent whisper, but now nobody has more at stake than we do. Looking up to those who came their what-ifs and marching forth with why not. They say sentiment without action is the ruin of the soul. This is why we vote. This election isn't about one candidate or another. It's about our past, our present, and our future. We vote because defending our communities is more than a hashtag. Because equality doesn't always equal justice. Because Mother Earth is catching her breath on the smog we create, trying to keep the lights on. When we defend the air, we defend the rights of everyone who breathes.
Hello.
You're live.
Hello, and welcome back. We had a few glitches, so I had to come back on another another line. I hope everyone can hear me and everything's okay. So we are really excited. So we have a wonderful, wonderful guest today for you. Like I said, a very good friend of mine. And one of the things that the young lady said in the video that I want everyone to think about, it is our future to vote. And we do not want history to repeat itself by not having the opportunity to vote. But if we don't vote, history will repeat itself over and over again. And especially if you don't know history, we give it that opportunity to repeat itself. So know your history. Make sure you register to vote and make sure you use your vote freely, because it is your vote that we have died for. So please make sure this is the season to register and vote. So without further ado, I'm going to bring our wonderful guests on. And many of you might have heard of this young man and probably seen him around. Gilberto Zelaya, Dr. Gilberto Zelaya, I have to say. He has taken his academic endeavors and life experiences to seek creative ways to challenge the institutional inadequacies that exist in Montgomery County, which a lot of people think Montgomery County is fair, equitable, but let me tell you, Montgomery County has issues as well. So he's made sure that the multicultural community of Montgomery County has access and resources that we need and that we need to have to register to vote. He firmly believes in community mobilization, and empowerment cannot rest on the pillars of procrastination. This is Dr. Z. And this one of the statements he says, and he lives by it, he breathes it. Now, he comes to you from a different background, but he's going to tell you a little about that. And so he is our community engagement public officer responsible for managing community relationships and empowering activities with emphasis on Section 203 compliance, and that's with the Board of Education. His signature initiative is Future Vote, which we are going to kick off hopefully and get going again. And he'll tell you about more Future Vote. I won't talk about it. I'll let him talk to you about that program, and which was developed in 2004. So without further ado, I am going to bring on to you Dr. Zelaya, Dr. Z, if we want to call him himself, and how he made a transformational shift to being a community organizer and mobilizing those in the underserved communities. So let's welcome Dr. Zelaya.
How are you? Good evening. How's everyone doing? I'm blessed to be here, and I hope you're blessed as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. So tell us, because I know you have a presentation for us, but we'll get to that later. But I want you to tell us a little about your history, and especially as a epidemiological program officer, and then moving to be a community engagement officer. Can you tell us a little about your background?
Yes.
How those two come together? And yes, tell us, please.
So what's interesting, my background in public health was prevention. For those who are in public health, you're looking at how to prevent individuals from illnesses, diseases that could be preventive, and that's what is preventive medicine. I've mobilized a lot of and developed campaigns on HIV/AIDS prevention, gang violence prevention, different types of cancer prevention, whether it's prostate, breast cancer, colon cancer. And so really the essence of communicating information in a palatable way so individuals across the community and diverse spectrum can understand and integrate that information to make positive life choices. And so prevention, as it pretends, you look at preventing individuals from voting provisionally. And provisional voting is not a bad process. It really provides a protection to the sanctity of our voter rolls, but also provides and affords the opportunity for a voter to actually vote and or register. And so there's been some bad blood or history as it pertains to provisional voting, but it is a mechanism that's a legitimate legal mechanism because our job is not to turn anyone away. And so the shift from public health prevention and creating campaigns throughout the Americas, Central and South America, and my efforts also took me to Durban, South Africa, to create a campaign and implement a campaign with the University of Durban in Lesotho. And so there was a transfer where there was an opportunity at the Montgomery County Board of Elections. And as you mentioned, I'm the administrator for Section 203. And what happens is, as that video stated, in 1965 was the Voter Rights Act. But in 1975, Congress amended that the 1965 Voter Rights Act because they noticed that a lot of individuals were not necessarily immigrating from England or Australia or countries where English is as the national language, the official language. They're coming from parts of Africa where they speak French and different beautiful languages. They're coming from Latin America where they speak Spanish. They're coming from Asia and they spoke a multitude of languages from Korean to Chinese, etc. And so what happened was they looked at the opportunity, they looked at the franchise to see how they could open the franchise to allow newly naturalized citizens the right to vote. And so part of it, after each census, especially in 2000, Montgomery County got the consent decree from the Department of Justice, and they said that Montgomery County has to implement the entire electoral process in English and in Spanish. But moving forward, when I was hired in 2003, I do recognize that Montgomery County is very diverse. I know with Dr. Butler, we've been working together over the decades because I recognize that the African diaspora is an expanding community, and it's not just a one-faceted community. There's a large Amharic community, a community from Ghana and Cameroon and Sierra Leone, and the languages, they may come from the same continent, but the culture, the language, the nuances differ from country to country. And so I'm far from being an expert on the African diaspora, but I do respect the nuances from each community. And so just because we're under Section 203 and I must implement the process in English and Spanish, there's no reason why approaching the community, the diaspora, like with Africa Today, these are opportunities where we bring the information to our diverse electorate, because first and foremost, at the Board of Election, we respect the sanctity of the process, but we also respect every individual's right to vote, as long as you meet the requirements. You have to be a U.S. citizen, at least 16 years of age, and since I represent Montgomery County, you must live in Maryland. And so our job is to ensure that you have access to the franchise, and that was kind of the genesis of how I came from public health, creating informational campaign on prevention, to providing information on how to exercise your constitutional right to vote.
Well, was the shift difficult, moving from doing epidemiological work to doing community organizing?
It wasn't. It was easier because in epidemiology and working in with different organizations like World Health, you get to travel a lot, which is a blessing. But when you travel, as you know, and you have a family and you're newly married, that was the opportunity to kind of develop my roots in Montgomery County. I'm a New York City transplant. I moved here in high school, and I stayed in the area ever since. It's a very diverse, it's a great location to raise a family. I have 2 teenage boys, and so the transition wasn't hard. And also because with the work I did in public health in the DMV, I had a lot of established relationships already with organizations like Casa de Maryland, the Montgomery County NAACP, and different organizations. So the transition wasn't really hard. I think the hard part was not being able to travel the globe, because I do miss that. But it's much easier when you have a family, and I cherish the moments I have dinner with them and I'm home after a long day's work.
Well, I'll tell you, I made a transformational shift. It was totally different from, I guess it was in the medical arena as well, doing stuff, but then into community service engagement. And I'll tell you, it's so much more rewarding than what I do today. I don't say it wasn't rewarding what I did before, but working in the community, you have a vast reach and a further reach to really change and impact more lives. So tell me, as a community engagement officer, what are some of your tasks and duties that you have to do? And just how do you do your job? And tell me, what is a community engagement officer? What do they do?
So what we're doing right now, dialogue and collaborate with organizations and institutions and community leaders like yourself, Dr. Butler. You're well respected and well known. And so what better messenger than working through you to communicate this information? And so on a daily basis, I will touch base with advocates, teachers, the school system, Montgomery College. We try to connect all types of agencies within Montgomery County government, like recreation and the public library system. We try to leverage GIS and IT technology and some measurements and some statistics. We look at the census, which recently was done in 2020. And so we look at kind of bringing in kind of the encompassing effort of what is community. We work with faith-based, nonprofit, for-profit, and also the partisan groups, because we're nonpartisan. So we don't lean left, right, center, moderate. We're not Republican or Democrat on unaffiliated. We're everyone. We represent the 675,000 plus registered voters in Montgomery County, and every day that is expanding. So our job, like I tell individuals, on election day, all roads lead back to the Board of Elections, and I want to make sure that you have the tools and the resources to succeed.
Now, as you say, we have 600 some odd thousand registered voters. Can you tell me what percent of American or the African population, as well as the Latino population, that we still need to reach out to, especially since they did the 2020 census, who are citizens who are eligible to vote? How many more do we have to reach out to? What are some of the percents? Can you give us that information?
You know, that's the $1 million question. Unfortunately, our Maryland voter registration application does not collect ethnicity. So when you look at the application, it collects your name, your gender, your address, but it doesn't collect ethnicity. And that was by design, so then individuals aren't identified or targeted in a specific ethnic group. So it would have been much easier if we did collect that. We did that many years back in the 60s and the 50s. But through the advent, when I joined the Board of Elections many decades before, we stopped collecting that. And so it would be easier statistically to get the census numbers and then get the total registered numbers. And then you could kind of guess what's the percentage. But the way I see it, if there's one individual that needs to get registered, that's one too many. And this is the reason every day and collaborate with organizations to make sure that the message goes out that you have the right to exercise your constitutional privilege to vote. And it's my job as a public servant to ensure that I give you that access.
Now, I would like to ask another question, and this might be a little harder. Is Montgomery County really a multicultural county together, or does everyone stay within their own little ethnic groups until there's a situation that calls for collaboration or give and take? And can you give me some examples as well?
So what I've noticed is during the election, because we're not polarized, so we're nonpartisan, when I approach an organization, regardless of the ethnic group or their political inklings or what they lean left or right, they welcome us with open arms. And of course, there are organizations that will challenge what we do. And I understand that's their right. But you have to remember, I don't make the rules, I just follow them. And if you have any issues, election law that currently we have to follow, don't call me. You need to contact your elected officials because I just follow the rules. I'm given the rules and I implement them. Now, it doesn't mean there's no room for improvement. And so, for example, I recognize that Montgomery County is extremely diverse. Every year, there's a database that shows what are the most diverse cities in America. And Montgomery County usually has about 3 to 4 on that list. Silver Spring, Gaithersburg, Rockville, and Germantown. And you could also throw in the mix White Oak, Aspen Hill, those little pockets in Montgomery County because they're all within the limits of Silver Spring. Nonetheless, recognizing that, I work closely with the Maryland State Board of Elections, and over the last 4 years, we've translated the voter registration and the vote by mail applications, not only in English and Spanish because of Section 203, but in French, in traditional and simplified Chinese, and Korean. The next language I am looking at is Amharic to translate that, and I recognize that. But you got to remember, Montgomery County is one county out of 24 in Baltimore City. And so our population is diverse, but when you talk to my counterparts in Washington State or in Kent County, they may have a very small African continental population. It doesn't mean they don't live there or have businesses or don't, have homes, but the number is not as vast as ours. So because I'm using the state form, really what I've tried to do is educate my colleagues in these other jurisdictions, right? Because keep in mind, Montgomery County, unfortunately, is an expensive county to live in, and a lot of our brothers and sisters tend to get priced out, and they end up moving in other counties, right? Like Prince George's and Howard and Frederick, even further to Washington County. And what's great that attests the work that we do at the Board of Elections, we get a lot of calls from our African brothers and sisters that would call about specific questions about their corresponding county, because at times they're looking for a Dr. Z in their staff and they don't have it. But at the end of the day, I do not care if you live in Kent County, Washington County. If you're watching this show, because I know that you guys have vast coverage beyond the borders of Montgomery County, Maryland, by all means, you could always contact the Board of Elections because we follow the state guidelines. They're not Montgomery County rules, and we're here to serve.
Now, let me ask a question there, because you're talking from Montgomery County, Maryland. What the other states, do they have similar Board of Elections and do some of the similar work? Is there a number that people out of the state can also get involved or know about what the Board of Election does?
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. So since I've joined the Board of Elections in 2003, we have been identified as best practice nationally and also internationally. We had a delegation that came from Cameroon, and we did a training on how to implement certain aspect of our election process in the motherland. And that was over the summer, which was a great experience. We've gotten awards by the Department of Justice, the Governmental Accountability Office, NACO, the Election Center for our diverse, multicultural, multi-generational outreach. And I have the pleasure of going to Boston, Dallas, San Diego to present the type of work to do to encourage those organizations, those local boards of elections to implement certain aspect of our outreach. And because when we get these national recognition, we got one in 2020 and 2021 by the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, we will get calls from different jurisdictions to talk about what we did and how unique we are and how they could implement what we do in Montgomery County.
So, because I know with this last election, we definitely saw where the Board of Elections is not consistent state to state or county to county. And so that was very interesting. It's really good for people to know about their Board of Elections and how to get in touch with them. So hopefully we can get a number by the end so people can call a 1-800 number or something to find out how. Well, there is a number, isn't a number they can go on and put their state in, and My Vote, or what is that website that people can go to?
So yes, so the website that we have is 777vote.org. So it's www.777vote.org, and that's our homepage.
Now anyone can go to that one from Maryland. What about for other states? Can they use that same number to call in and or to learn about their state?
So no. So what happens, I would recommend Googling your local boards of elections. Technically, now in this age, in 2022, every local board of elections should have a website, a hotline, a number where you could contact for more information. Now, mind you, if you will call us, what we're going to do is we're going to Google that information for you and we will help you. But keep in mind, if we're starting to take calls from Chicago and Dallas and New York, then it's keeping me and us from serving our Montgomery County voters. So remember, our job is, I will serve you a platter, a plate, a festivity, an abundance of voter information. But you still have to chew that food. You still have to do your part, right? Because empowerment is not a one-way street. I will provide the information. I will strengthen the franchise. I will open the doors. But you still got to get off your seat and walk. And so it's a two-way street. But at any time, you could call the Board of Elections. We will help you. We will serve you. If you don't have the same luck as you do in your local jurisdictions, there's a lot of resources like the League of Women Voters. There's a state organization. There's a local county organizations. And like, for example, we work closely with the organization with Afrique Today because they do disseminate the information that we want to provide to everyone so they could prepare.
Wonderful. Now, I know you have a slide presentation that you want to show us, but before that presentation, I want to show another really quick video, and then we're going to go right into that presentation so you can give us more education on, what we can do and how, just all about the Board of Elections and the changes, if there are any, here in Montgomery County, Maryland. So let's go to our video, our our video and show a little quick video, and then we're going to come right back to Dr. Z, and he's going to get right into his presentation and tell us so much more, so you, the voter, can be totally educated on your rights.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. We are live every Sunday at 3 p.m. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
In today's world, video is the most effective content. In 2021 alone, 80% of all content consumed by users was video. If today you don't make video about yourself, about your product, you're losing positions in your business. Afrique Today Production invites you to create a video of any complexity. Are you an aspiring blogger, artist, musician, and you want to surprise your audience? Or are you an ordinary person and want to create a family story? Then our team will be able to create a video for you with unique quality, reported shooting, individual shooting, studio shooting, entertainment videos, corporate events. All this we can do for you in the best quality. Just call now and get a 30% discount at 571-612-0496. 571-612-0496. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
Every generation needs a new revolution. There's a difference between a moment and a movement. Revolution isn't frozen in time. It's a thawing river that starts as a stream and grows to a roar. It is the fulfillment of a dream dreamt by people who see the summit after yet another peak that turns into a false promise. 1 in 3 eligible voters this election will be under 35 years old. Welcome to a movement in history, a newborn page, created by unity, and the hands, voices that write and speak it into existence. We were born into a society.
The one thing you don't do can often influence what you can do for years to come. When you don't vote, you help create a world that's the opposite of the one you want to live in, and lose out on the opportunity to protect that future for generations to come. Hi, I'm Crystal Brooks, a graduate of Fisk University and the reigning Miss National Black College Alumni Hall of Fame. Today, perhaps more than ever in recent history, our vote has the power to make a lasting difference that will resonate today and tomorrow, not just for African Americans, but for all Americans who believe we are a nation formed to ensure and protect the rights and freedoms of all people. As young adults, we're busy trying to figure out our own lives, careers, and futures. We have a lot of pressures to deal with already. But as important as those things are, without different leaders who support the fulfillment of our dreams and our right to pursue them, everything we're working for and toward becomes just that, a dream. But your vote matters. Keep the dream alive. If you're 18 years of age or older, don't walk, run to register to vote. There's not a moment to waste with the very important midterm elections only months away. Visit nbcahof.org for more information on how you can make your voice heard this November. Do your part. Vote.
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. I said, welcome back, welcome back.
How are you?
On mute, but you can share your screen and bring the videos up. You have sharing capacities. Do you want to bring your videos up and your slide presentations so you can take it away and give us a learning lesson on community involvement and what we need to do?
Yes. So could you see the screen, the slides? Are you able to see the slides?
Let's see. I'm looking at two screens, so let me see if I can see the slides. It's a little delay. No, we can't see the slides yet. Let me make sure you have sharing capacity. You should be able to share your screen.
Yes. So let me open here really quick. So it says I'm sharing. Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay. All right, wonderful. So we can see your screen now. Okay, wonderful.
Perfect. So we're going to talk about making a vote plan. So keep in mind, this is specific to Montgomery County, Maryland. So our African continental brothers and sisters, keep in mind that if you're in a different county, not Montgomery County, but you live in Maryland, we follow the same election laws. However, some of the information is specific to Montgomery County, and I'll let you know what they are. So just like as the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King said, voting is the foundation stone for political action. So in Montgomery County, Maryland, and in Maryland, you have 3 ways to vote. You just have to choose one. You could vote by mail. You could vote early from June 16th through the 23rd of this year, and you could vote on election day. Now, mind you, many of you probably already received the vote by mail application mailed by the Maryland State Board of Elections. So if you are a registered Democrat or Republican, you're going to receive this application. However, once the candidate filing deadline has passed, voters who are unaffiliated will be able to submit their vote by mail application. Highly recommend you leveraging this opportunity. It mitigates any type of exposure to COVID-19. You could do it at the comfort of your home. By all means, it's safe, secure, and it's easy to do. So moving forward, once again, you must be registered to vote. So today, and one of the great things is we've created through our nationally recognized outreach, an SMS texting prompt. All you need to do is text the word vote, VOTE, to 77788. Now, if you live in Prince George's or Frederick County or another county, you could use this texting prompt because it provides the Maryland State Board of Elections online voter registration. So this is not just for Montgomery County. So text the word vote to 77788 and you can register to vote today after the show.
Wonderful. So that's anywhere in the country, right?
Yeah, so it's as long as you have a cell phone. If you're watching us from Ghana in Africa and you live in Montgomery County and you're on a business trip and you need to register to vote or you need to update your registration, you could do that today. So now, after you register to vote, anytime you move, or maybe you have a name change, or you move from a smaller home to a larger home, or maybe your children went to college and you want to downsize it, you have to review and update your voter registration. This is one of the issues where voters get upset when they have moved since the last election in 2020. They communicate that they want to change their party or their address. They could do that, but the problem is now you will need to vote provisionally. And then we have to research why that information isn't up to date. I don't want to blame anyone. It could be there's an administrative error. It could be that the voter never communicated that they did not move, or they didn't tell us that they moved, or they wanted to change their registration. And this is why it's critical. It's paramount that you do your part, okay? So if you want to review and update your voter registration today, all you need to do is text the word check, CHECK, to the same number, 77788. Text the word check to 77788. But also you could go to our website, which is 777vote.org, and you could update and review your voter registration today. Now, as I sent,
I'm doing mine right now. So you see me looking down. I'm texting right now to my phone.
Good. Try it out. It works. And so now, as I mentioned earlier, individuals should have received or will receive in the coming days their mail-in ballot application. It's only sent to registered voters. They're going to send to the first the Democratic and the Republican registered voters, and then they'll send it to the unaffiliated. Now, keep in mind, this is very important. In Maryland, our primary elections are closed, and that means that if there's a candidate you want to support, you must be registered under that candidate's party, whether it's Republican or Democrat. If you're unaffiliated or any of the other smaller parties, you will be able to vote for school board. So there's a ballot for everyone, but if there's a candidate that you want to vote for, make sure you represent that candidate's party. And once again, you could vote from home. Text the word VBM. If you have not received your mail-in ballot application from the State Board of Elections, there's no need to wait. All you need to do is get your phone, text the letters VBM for vote by mail, and then the number is 77788, and you can submit your request and we will process it. And in the coming months, once we have the ballots in-house, we will mail it to the location you desire. Now, what's new from 2020 that's going to be implemented in 2022 are the famous ballot drop boxes. There were issues with the post office, budget shortfalls, etc. Some of the blue bins were being repaired or replaced. Nonetheless, Montgomery County will have 55 total ballot drop boxes, and we have a texting prompt. It's not active now because the ballot drop boxes have not been installed. They should be installed 45 days before Election Day. But nonetheless, once it's ready, I will let Dr. Butler know and we'll work together to inform the community. And all you need to do is text the word box in your zip code, and it's going to give you the closest ballot drop boxes and the post office locator. Now, for 2022, we will have 14 early voting center. In 2020, we had 11. Through community advocacy and through election law, we expanded from 11 from the 2020 presidential elections to 14. And these are listed, and these are very specific to Montgomery County. Because we have such a large electorate, we maximize the locations in which we could vote early from June 26th to the 23rd from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. However, if you live in Frederick County, they have much less. They don't have 14 early voting centers. If you go to Kent County, they may have 1 or 2. So make sure you contact your local Board of Elections or Google the Maryland State Board of Elections to get the corresponding local Board of Elections in Maryland to give you the corresponding numbers and locations of the early voting centers. And so as we move forward, the ballot itself, there's numerous contests.
Before you leave the voting centers, let me ask, on Election Day, since we are, what is their plan for, especially for Montgomery County, but we had smaller election sites open due to COVID.
Yes.
And since COVID has not gone anywhere, and it's not going anywhere, and we're learning to live with COVID, are they going to have all the election polls open on Election Day?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes. So as of today, we will implement the 14 early voting centers and the 255 odd Election Day precincts. And those are very specific to your residential address. Unless there's another variant that comes out or for whatever reason, we have to kind of bring the number of precincts to a small amount like the vote centers as we did in 2020. But as of today, the only change that we have seen is that the candidate filing deadline was expanded from the 22nd of February to the 22nd of March. So things are very fluid, but as of today, we will have vote by mail. Montgomery County has 14 early voting centers from the 16th to the 23rd of June. And then we will have the 243 odd Election Day precincts. That's very specific. The difference between early voting and Election Day voting, early voting, you could go to any of the 14 locations if you're a Montgomery County registered voter. For Election Day, you have to go specifically to your corresponding Election Day location. That information will be provided in your sample ballot, which we mail a couple of weeks before the onset of early voting. Now, moving forward, there's a lot of contests, right, on the ballots, obviously from governor to lieutenant governor, comptroller, attorney general. And I won't go through all of the different contests, but all of this information in your particular ballot style will be in the sample ballot. Because we have closed primaries, we will have a total of 760 unique ballot styles, because depending where you live, depending on your representation in Congress, depending on your delegation, depending on your councilmatic district and your school board district, there's a whole combination of different ballot styles. But nonetheless, do not worry about the contest or the different information that's in it. We will mail you your corresponding sample ballot according to the address we have on file. This is why it's important. If you moved since 2020, you need to tell us that, so we don't mail your sample ballot to your former address. Now, looking forward,
let me.
Yes.
I want to stop you there. Now, since there's so many different ballots coming out, I mean, how confusing will that be, especially for a first-time voter? And how do we reduce? We can't say eliminate, but how do we reduce some of that confusion?
So, number one, the opportunities that you afforded me today is one way. Number two, once again, we will mail every single registered voter a sample ballot that will literally talk about everything that we're talking about now in a very simple format that's easy to understand. There's also going to be an image of your actual ballot that you will vote on election day or during early voting. And then you could go on our website. I highly recommend you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, because we put a lot of great information daily to help you prepare. And here's another thing. In this screen, if you look at the screen right now, it says digital tools. We've developed some tools that will help the voter, which also responds to the question that you gave me. What are we giving the voters to be successful? So as we move forward, the digital tools, we have the Moco Voter App. This is a great app that we're expanding, we're updating. It's going to give you your particular election day precinct. It's going to give you where you would vote, the closest early voting centers, the closest ballot drop boxes, an image of your sample ballot. You could register to vote. You could update your registration, and you could become an election judge. And we're going to embed some really short 1 minute, 2 minute videos and also podcasts, which will break down the whole nuance of election day preparation. So look out for this update on our voters app. And the different texting prompts. If you text vote to 77788 to register to vote, if you text the word check, if you text the word serve, and this is a great slide, we need election workers. An election worker is a volunteer. We love the fact that many individuals from the African diaspora are bilingual or trilingual, right? And we need that language skill at the polls to ensure that your brothers and sisters exercise their right to vote. You can earn up to $210 a day. The way to apply, you have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be at least 16 years of age. We will train you. There's an online quiz, online training, and an in-person training. And about 5 to 6 weeks after Election Day service or early voting service, we will mail you a check for up to $210. And for the high school students, we also give student service learning credits, the SSL credits. So if you need those as well, and we'll talk quickly about Future Vote. So to sign up,
let me be real clear on that. So the students can get a check and SSL hours?
No. The students can get one or the other. Okay. Up to $210 stipend or up to 25 student service learning credits. It depends on the position and how many hours they give, because keep in mind, it's one SSL per hour that you volunteer. And so individuals could text the word serve to 77788, and then we will assign you to one of our recruiters, and they will help you through the process to ensure that you're registered to vote and you participate. Now we're going to get into Future Vote. So for over 18 years, I've created the program that incorporates students grades 6 through 12 in the election process. We're the only county in America and globally that bring in children as young as 6th grade. It's so funny. These two young gentlemen right here, these are my sons, but they were very little here. Now, the young boy in the front, Julian, he's a 13-year-old, and Sebastian in the back, he's a 16-year-old, and he's going to serve as an election judge this election year. And my younger sons will serve as the Future Vote ambassadors. And since 2004, I've had the pleasure of working with over 45,000 students and 27,500 families, because part of the process is you have to attend a training. The training encompasses what the students can and cannot do on election day, but also it provides the family the same information I'm sharing with you right now. And that's great, because that's a win-win, because we are educating the electorate. And if you look at this slide, you see how diverse this auditorium is? This is a full representation of Montgomery County. And we also visit all the high schools. We started to visit the high schools this week. We recently went to Rockville High School in Whitman. This is Springbrook. We went there about 2 months ago. We're going to visit all the high schools, and we've registered over 25,000 high school students. And our election judges. So the students that do Future Vote, we promote them to election judge status when they're of age and as long as they're U.S. citizens and registered to vote. And we have recruited over 10,000. And here's an interesting tidbit. Montgomery County has the youngest poll worker force in America. The average age of poll workers in America is 65 years of age. Montgomery County's average age is 48 and a half.
Nice. That's wonderful.
And lastly, remember, it's your voice and it's also your votes. So by all means, I would like for you to prepare, to engage, ask questions, challenge the Board of Elections, challenge the status quo. We don't have all the answers, but there's something that we could improve upon. We would like to know because it helps us strengthen the franchise.
Now, there's a lot of information all packed it in, but there's a question I have. Now, you talked about all those who can vote.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the individuals who cannot vote? And could you tell us a little bit about people who are on probation or on parole? What does that look like here in the state of Maryland for those to vote?
Yes. So in the state of Maryland, as long as the individual has done their time of incarceration, but even if they're in probation, they can register to vote and exercise their constitutional right to vote. That has changed over the years. Maryland, if you compare to other states, we're very progressive. In Montgomery County, we do all in our power to facilitate that access to the franchise. So the legislature changed that law several years back. Before, individuals would lose their voting privileges. Decades later, they were allowed to vote as long as they were done with their probation, community service, restitution, and imprisonment. Now they've changed that where as long as if you're on probation, you could register to vote and you could exercise that your right to vote. Now, if there's so much information, once again, contact our office, go on our website, 777vote.org, give us a call, and we're here to serve.
So once again, I wanted to say, I want to repeat that. So I want to repeat because I ran into a lot of, because I'm always at the polls.
Yes.
And we ran into a lot of issues with individuals who had served their time, not understanding they could vote. So say that one more time for us so that I can make sure that all of the individuals who've ever been incarcerated in the state of Maryland, tell us again who can vote.
Yes. So as long as the individual has done their time during their time of incarceration, but are in probation, even if you're on probation, you can register to vote and you can exercise your right to vote. And so once again, at any time you have any questions or you're confused, there's a lot of information we shared and we squeezed in this hour show, which is a blessing. Call us, please. Our number is 240-777-8500, 240-777-8500. And everything is on our website as well, which is 777vote.org.
Well, I want to thank you so much. And you packed it full of lots of information. So we hope that everyone has gotten all information. If you missed anything, you will always find our shows online at Afrique Today. So they will be on the YouTube website for Afrique Today. So you can always go back if you missed it tonight, if you want to share it to someone, if you missed something, as we talked about it, please, you can go and view our shows online. We're really excited that this is the election season.
Yes.
And it disheartens me to see what's happening throughout the country right now as far as taking the votes away that those of us and our ancestors have died for. And I want to say ancestors, some of our parents and grandparents fought and died for the right to vote. So please exercise your right. Every vote counts. Your vote counts. And we need your votes to make a change. But I want to thank my guest again, Dr. Z. thank you so very much for being here with us today. And we're going to have you back on and talk a little bit when it gets close to election, because, you know, so much is happening and there might be more changes. But we want to make sure we educate our communities. And do you have any last words you want to tell the audience?
Yes. So if you look at the slide, the last slide had all my contact information. If you're part of a congregation, if you work at a nonprofit, and you would like for us to do a similar show with the latest and greatest information, send me an email, send me a text. Let's make it happen. I am your public servant, and I'm here to serve you.
And I want to tell you, he really is. I want to thank you for always being available and always working with us and working with our young people. But remember, I need to get that information on Future Votes, because I got a lot of young people who need to do this. And one last thing I'm going to say, we have our young people who are going to start doing their own show, Teens for Teens. So they will take over a lot of what I'm doing and bringing information out to their colleagues. And so we're really excited. So we're going to be hopefully working with the school districts and really getting people more engaged and having young people come out and tell their stories and having them get out to vote. Because you as a young person, if you're out there, you are the future. You will change history with your votes. On that note, I want to thank our guest today, Dr. Z. I want to thank Afrique Today for allowing us this opportunity to bring another hour of education to you. And I want to just thank all my audience for watching in and tuning in on our Friday nights. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next Friday.